But it's time now for the big issue. And good morning to you if you're watching us on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. You can also tune in, send the message out there for others who do not have a TV by their side but have their phones to tune in to our Facebook page. And remember, for every contribution, add the hashtag TV3 New Day. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook or watch us on DSTV channel 279. What are the topics that we're, having on the show today? In fact, the city is not doing well at all. It's on a free fall, and GUTA has described it as a crisis at the moment because it's affecting their business badly. They are not the only ones. Food and Beverages Association, Importers and Exporters Association, they are all complaining. They're describing it as a disaster, and they require that government does something immediately to solve the situation. But is government handicapped in this matter, looking at the agreement that they had with IMF before getting that support that we asked for? We'll get into that conversation shortly. But after that, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been on tour, and in the Bono East region, he went on about how this government has restored the teacher training and nursing training allowance. But a student dared to ask him when they are getting the allowances because she's in her final year and has not received it. Well, he says that by tomorrow, clearance will be given for all students, all nursing trainee students to receive the allowances. How true and possible is this? We'll get into that conversation as well. Joining us in the studio, Malik Basintale is the Deputy Communications Officer for the NDC. Wearing another nice shirt this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing? You say real men wear pink.
I'm well.
So I've seen quite a number of men wearing pink this week.
I just learned. I don't know how real men can be before they wear pink.
Hey.
I've always been real.
Hey.
Maybe today is a full manifestation
of your realness.
Of my realness. Maybe as you have said. But good morning.
Good morning.
Bella. It's good to see you. It's always good to be here. I mean, to digest issues, to discuss matters of priority, and I mean, mainly to sympathize with many people who are watching us this morning. I know people who derive a lot of hope from us anytime we sit here in the morning. At least they get to hear voices of inspiration, they get to listen to voices of hope, and at least they sit down and through whatever we discuss here, they get focus to what they've got to be doing
and that's what you're
next
here to
steps
do.
They've got to be taking.
All right.
People cannot even afford transport fares.
Hold on,
to
Malik.
work.
You've already started the show when we haven't even gotten into the conversation.
I mean, there's an intro. I just wanted.
That's just an intro.
I wanted someone out there to.
You're already on full throttle.
I wanted someone out there to know and understand that I feel their pain.
We all do.
I feel their plights, and I understand what they are going through this morning. But God will see us through.
Hallelujah.
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in 2025 will restore and reset the economy of Ghana to prosperity.
Thank you, Malik. All right. Also, the man who is very easy to spot the moment you realize he's wearing his red beret, and he is looking to become president of this nation. He says he'll fix everything. In fact, teacher training allowances, nursing training allowances, in fact, they won't be restored. They will not delay anymore. Well, Mr. Bernard Mona is the former chairman for the PNC. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I certainly could be better. After listening to Malik, it means that we just have to keep hoping that things will change for the better.
Indeed.
But I just noticed that contrary to my suspicion that you are still crashing on Malik.
Who is crashing on Malik?
You.
Me. Because I said he's wearing a nice shirt.
Yes.
I crash on his shirts every week.
Oh, Malik.
Yes. He has really nice
Bella,
shirts that he wears every week. So that's what I'm crashing on,
you
not
have
him.
no taste at all.
I don't have taste on
Malik
the shirt.
doesn't have nice shirts. La.
Really? We should put some polls up for people to judge.
No.
He
You don't
doesn't.
have taste. You
But why are you hating on Malik's shirts this morning? What has he done to you?
No, he's my kid brother, but he's trying to trespass.
I'm crashing on your beret as well.
I will give you 2.
You give me 2. So now that settles the matter.
So you don't crash again.
I hear
just
you.
have it.
Well, we have a third guest joining us, Paul Graves, Boachi Dankwa is government spokesperson on governance and security. He'll be joining us shortly. But let's take a report on the city and how it's been doing in the last couple of months. We'll come back and have the conversation.
came for me this morning.
Well, apologies on that. We were hoping that we could play some sound for you, but we're just giving you an idea of how the city has been doing so far. Now, if you take it all the way back to 2016, and if you look at May 5, 2016, in fact, a dollar was going for 3 cedis, 78 pesos. By November, it had moved to 4 cedis, 3 pesos to a dollar. And then fast forward, you move it to, let's, for example, 2020, or maybe let me go through the years. And then after 2016, we move into 2017. By March, a dollar was 4 cedis, 77 pesos. It went up by 6.11% against the cedi. 2018, the dollar increased in value by 7.2% against the cedi. So by December 2nd, 2018, a dollar was going for 5 Ghana cedis. 2019, it had moved to 5 cedis, 7 pesos per dollar. By 2020, December 7, it was 5 cedis, 9 pesos per dollar. In fact, in August of that year, it was 5 cedis, 7 pesos. 2021, by December 9, it was 6 cedis, 18 pesos. In fact, the dollar had increased by 4.25% in that year alone. 2022, by November 28th, we were looking at a dollar going for 14 cedis, 62 pesos. Then in 2023, by February 23rd, it had moved to 12 cedis, 89 pesos. Then you look at 2024, by January 9, a dollar was going for 11 cedis, 91 pesos. By January 9. By May 13, it was going for 14 cedis and 6 pesos. So the value of the US dollar had gone up by 17.06%. As at yesterday, we're told that in many quarters, the dollar was going for about 14.9, 14.8 Ghana cedis. And that clearly shows that the depreciation of the cedi has gone up by some 20%. What really is the problem? And GUTA has been asking questions. In fact, they released a statement where they were calling out government and asking them to do something about the situation because they described it as a crisis. Let's take a look at what exactly their statement said. And we'll start off with this one. It says that the current state of affairs has far-reaching implications and has caused prices of goods and services to increase for the consuming public. The inflationary pressures resulting from the depreciating cedi has pushed the cost of goods through the roof, making it increasingly difficult for businesses to stay afloat. It moves on to say the purchasing power of the consuming public has also been affected, thereby reducing the turnover of businesses. Repayment of loans to the bank has then become extremely difficult. And then it says the rising freight charges compounded by the customs duties benchmarked in dollars at the port are crippling trade and commerce, leading to untold hardships for businesses and consumers alike. It has increased unpredictability or forecast of businesses. And that is GUTA. And of course, they continue saying the value of credit purchase increases, thereby making it very difficult for traders to repay the goods bought from their overseas suppliers, leading to higher indebtedness to businesses. GUTA hereby calls on the government to take urgent measures to save this alarming situation from getting out of hand. Let me just go straight onto the phone lines and speak to Mr. Benjamin Yeboah from GUTA, just to ask him a few questions on this matter. Good morning, sir. Hello, Mr. Benjamin Yeboah. Can you hear me? Good morning.
I can hear you very well.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I hope you're doing well.
By God's grace, we are doing
All right.
well.
Now, just a quick one. I mean, GUTA has described the situation as being in a crisis. Is that not too dire for exactly what is happening on the ground? Should we be describing it as a crisis at the moment?
You see, well, so let me say a good morning to all your listeners and viewers. The point is that it's like we are having a playback of what happened in 2022. 2022, just around the mid-year, around this time, we started experiencing what we are experiencing now. Remember, the dollar went from about 8 cities to almost close to 17 cities. And if you remember, we had various dialogue with the Council of State, the causes, and then the called other heads of institutions that we met there. But still, things were still getting out of hand. And it pushed us in closing shops, if you remember. It was just getting to the closer end of the year that things began to, improve a bit with the cedi now gaining strength again till it came to, even that time, it came to around 11 thereabouts. Last year, they were able to hold on. It was hovering around That's 11 to 12, 11, 12. So the beginning of this year, it's been like that. Now, what we are seeing is that now it's moved from that around the 12 cedi to the dollar, past 13, past 14. And today we are talking around 14.8 to the dollar, closer to 15 cedis. So that is why we are saying, look, at that time, a lot of our members lost their livelihood. All their capital was, wiped out. The prices were just being increased because we were not getting to know what was really going on. So there was speculation. People had to, begin to, calculate ahead. It was very serious. As we are seeing now, get to the pulse, since the duties are benchmarked to the dollar, the dollar in terms of percentage will remain the same. Immediately you change to cedis, you have to get extra more cedis to be able to clear the same amount of goods. And those that were struggling had their goods seized, running to demurrage. So we are seeing the same trend now. That's why we are raising the alarm that please, government should come out immediately through either the Bank of Ghana or through the Ministry of Finance. Let us know exactly what is going on this time round. At that time, we were told that they had gotten some IMF deal, some trench were coming and all.
Okay.
Now we know that trench came in. I think the second trench was coming. So what is really the cause? And then how are they trying to check to mitigate this? Then we can plan ahead. Otherwise, you will go to the market and you will see what is going on now.
So are you then saying that at this point it's almost difficult for you to even increase the prices of your goods because, again, consumers don't have the purchasing power as much to buy these goods? And so then what happens?
Yes, we are being forced to increase our goods anyway. Because, I mean, if you do your calculation and you realize that the item that you were selling, even if you are going to cost you about 12 cedis, but I mean, no one should tell you to increase it to about 12 cedis. So you will be told to, like you said, the power of the buyer. If it's still static, it's not moving. How is the buyer going to buy? The buyer will have to reduce the amount that he or she is buying, or will not even buy. That is affecting us again, because then our turnover is now going down, and we are not making any better business. It is affecting those who contracted loans.
Okay.
So it's not the best.
So if there's one intervention, immediate intervention that you expect government to take, what would that be?
First and foremost, let us know what is going on.
Okay.
Because for now, we can only speculate, and that is dangerous. Let us know what is going on. And if we know, and they realize that, look, it might take a while, then they have to help us at the ports and see if they can, pitch the dollar at the rate, so that it will help us. Otherwise, we are losing again.
All right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning, Mr. Benjamin Yeboah. He's the Director of Welfare for the Ghana Union Traders Association. And in fact, they are not the only ones who are crying at this point. If you look at the Food and Beverages Association, they also have a major problem. And they're saying that, in fact, the cedi free fall is a disaster for them. Now, Importers and Exporters Association also has, expressed their disquiet over this matter. And for them, they even think that the Vice President should stop touring and come back to his office and address the problem, because that is supposed to be his mandate. Joining us in the studio also this morning is Palgrave Boakye Dankwa. He's government spokesperson for governance and security. I've missed you, actually. I haven't seen you in quite a while.
You're right.
Where have you been?
I've missed you too. Well, I am at the final stages of my graduation for my doctoral, so I needed to take some time to finish my thesis and do my public defense.
So can I call it pre-doc, Palgrave?
Yes, absolutely.
Dankwa?
My graduation is next month, 29th of June. So I invite you and invite TV3 and my seniors and colleagues here to come. Let's see what we can do to advance the development of this country.
Well, since you're a dog, then I believe that this conversation is going to be a good one. You are almost a dog. This conversation will be a good one. Mr. Muna, what's the problem?
Doctor that comes for programs late.
No, I didn't come for the program.
He was working on his thesis.
No, I was assigned to Joy Prime. So I was at Joy Prime this morning from 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
and you had to move from there.
And then I had to move from there to be here. It's important to set the record straight. I
Which
got
one
to
is?
I got to town at 5 a.m.
Late.
I got to town at
You have
5
come
a.m.
to this show late.
So you want him to apologize?
No, you have come to this show
I
late.
apologize for coming late.
Okay, because there are a lot of people who were saying they weren't sure who to express their frustration at because you weren't here. So now that you're here, they're excited. Good morning to all our viewers on Facebook as well. We're happy that you've joined us. In fact, Lucian Lynch is happy. He says Palgrave has arrived. And Nelson was saying that if the MPP man no come, we no go grill. Your viewers need someone to transfer their anger to. Please go easy on Palgrave. But Palgrave, I mean, as much as we're laughing, things are not looking good. The cedi has depreciated by 20% this year alone. GUTA is complaining, Importers and Exporters Association, they are complaining, food and beverages, they are complaining. Small businesses are shutting down, even the large ones are shutting down as well. And it's affecting goods and services in the country. What is government doing?
So, Bella, let me greet you and greet Bernard and Malik.
My name.
Oh, how can I forget?
You wanted to say Mundi.
And greet the general public. Yes, I can agree that government finds itself in very challenging times as a country. You recall that in every electioneering year, you would have the cedi topple up and topple down against bigger forex like the USD. And so I am certain that under an IMF program, as we have now, we would be able to address these teething challenges. It's not just GUTA that is complaining. It's not just the beverages that are complaining. I think that is being felt by everyone, whether you are in MPP or in NDC, or even if you are not a political actor, you feel the hitch of that, especially when you go to the market. And so I'm very certain that government is going to be looking at these to be able to address it because it's challenging for everyone.
Looking at it in what sense? Because I know that there's some limitation as to how far even the BOG, for example, can step in and intervene because of the agreements that they have with the IMF, where there's a cap on how much dollars they can even release every month. So if, for example, we need, because every month we need about $400 million to buy fuel, right, to inject into that sector. Now, at this point, we're told that they can only release about $60 to $80 million a month. And so that really cuts things very short. How then do you intend to address this situation so that it benefits everyone who's involved?
Well, a lot more of cutting of government expenditure, a lot more of ensuring that we keep up to just the essentials of managing the economy and making sure that government is running smoothly over the few months that are left for us to enter into a major season of electioneering and campaigning. And I'm certain that the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has paid keen attention to this, and we would want to be able to address these issues in a very shortest possible time. We don't want to have these challenges, especially in the season that we find ourselves in. So I'm very certain that we'll look at these issues.
But if you listen to Mr. Yeboah, for example, he's more concerned about the fact that government is not communicating to the citizens and even to the traders to let them understand what the problem is, first of all. Because in the past, you've done that. But this time around, you seem to have remained very silent on the matter. And so nobody really understands why the cedi is on such a free fall for us to even move to the conversation of what we can do to fix the problem.
I mean, I think that the truth really is that when government is silent and not having a overarching conversation with the general public, it means that government is in closed doors working. I mean, and that's the real goal, that government is...
You're in closed doors working?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, government is in closed doors working, meeting with key holders and stakeholders to ensure that we're able to solve the issue. I mean, there's no rush in coming to the general public and trying to address issues when you've not been able to solve its homeland. And so,
but at least tell us why it is depreciating. Is that too much to ask for?
Well, I think that the key indicators for depreciation of our cedi is already known. I mean, it's not rocket science. If you look at the fact that goods and services are going high, you look at the fact that we're buying crude at a very high rate, you look at the fact that the trading industries are having challenges. Those are KPIs that you're able to see that these are likely skills that would affect your currency. And obviously we are in an IMF program, and so being under an IMF program has its own limitations and excesses that you can go through.
But we've received the second tranche of the IMF program. So in total we have about 1.2 billion that we've received from IMF at the moment.
Yes, 600.
Yes, so 1.2 billion. Now aside that as well, the cocoa syndicated loan, we know that there was some 451 that came in first. There's some 200 that was expected to come in January. I believe that has come as well. So for someone like Mr. Wingobit, Samson Asagia Wingobit, Importers and Exporters Association, he's saying that if we know that all these monies have come in, then we're expecting that that should at least balance the cedi to an extent. So why are we not seeing that effect?
Well, Bella, I would state that it's early days yet. We would need to allow some time more to be able to see the impact of these monies that we have received.
How much time do we need?
Maybe before the media review.
Okay.
Yes, a bit more time before the media review. We should be able to see that the finance ministry would bring some stability.
So until then, the cedi will keep depreciating?
I'm not too sure if the cedi will keep depreciating, but what I can say is that if people have forex that they are keeping, they should release those forex. You remember how we had challenges last year when people were keeping forex and people were increasing prices, and the president had to do an economic lecture. And
when you say forex, keeping it in their homes, under their beds and things. So in this case, can we cite Madame Cecilia Dapa as one of those people because of that $1 million that was in her home?
I don't think so. You don't need to go there at all.
Oh, I'm just asking because
leave Madame alone. Leave Madame alone.
You are saying people who are keeping dollars.
No, let's leave Madame alone. Let's leave Madame alone.
Okay.
Madame is definitely out of this conversation. Let's not bring her and plaster her on it at all.
Okay.
All I'm trying to say is that it's important that we all become a part of the solution of ensuring that our cedi does not depreciate, and then also ensuring that our cedi becomes one of the best performing currencies in the world. You recall that in years past, and I mean sometimes when we state it, people don't want us to state it. In years past, we've had one of the best performing currencies from 2017 up until date, and even when we had our cedi depreciate astronomically with inflation and all of that, you realize that we're able to bounce back better. So I'm extreme confidence that the government will be able to resolve these issues.
Well, Malik, do you believe that as well, that governments would be able to resolve this issue?
First of all, to any businessman watching us this morning, this is the hope you can get. To any GUTA member, spare parts dealer at Abusokai, importer or exporter, or what have you watching us this morning, this is the hope you can get. They say the dollars they are hoarding in their rooms, they should release it so that somewhere close to the media budget, maybe the dollar will come down. This is the hope. It's sad, regrettably unfortunate, that we have to discuss the final collapse, a full epileptic fall of the cedi under the watch of a man who had 170 ways of transforming the cedi dollar ratio. It is sad that we are discussing this at a time that the man who is supposed to be concerned with this, and Palgrave said when they are quiet, it means they are working. But I wish to tell you that this time, your silence is not because you are working.
Now, how do you know that? You are not in their government.
I'm going to tell you what they are doing. Your silence is because the man, Alhaji Baumia, who is supposed to be in charge of salvaging this situation, was last seen with a home-use steer, a home-use Opel Vectra steer. And a small boy was shouting, Boabeng, Boabeng, and he was pressing Abeng. And his campaign team were following him, and he was dancing like this.
But he said, give him the wheel. And so they gave it to him.
You are laughing.
No,
that's your head
I
of
didn't expect
management team. That was the last time he was seen.
Example, though.
Yes. The man who is supposed to be in charge, supposed to be thinking of how to revive Ghanaian businesses. They have given him home use, Opel Vectra steer. And when he holds it and the campaign team, they hold his waist. Then a small child will be shouting, Boabe, Boabe, and the blow horn. Then he'll be doing ping, 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 and he'll be dancing. That is what the vice presidency has virtually been reduced into. And so when people of GUTA, when businesses are crying, Dr. Baumia says, to hell with it. I'm on campaign. Let me do what I want to do. Look, Bella, I feel sad for a businessman who bought goose at a rate at 12 cedi a dollar, only to wake up today and will have to buy dollars again at 14.25 Ghana cedis. That man has automatically lost over 100,000 for no fault of his, all because of the mismanagement and incompetence of the people at the helm of affairs. You see, when Dr. Baumia was speaking in 2016, I looked at him and I said, look, sir, arresting the dollar is not as easy as stopping Trotro from Medina to Circle. In fact, it's not as easy as just waking up in the morning and stretching and greeting people good morning. Arresting the dollar comes with principles, comes with intellect, and comes with high competence, demand and supply factors. And that brings me to the point of where I knew that the path Dr. Bawumia had taken this country to was virtually going to lead us into a ditch, and today we have seen it. In 2017, they first signed on to the 2.25 billion Templeton bond. They went to the bond market to the extent that they told us the bonds were oversubscribed, and they held a Kenke and Shinkafa Dewache party at the finance ministry. Bella, they enjoyed all because some good dollars were trooping into our corridors. They saved part of that in our international reserves and thought that as a result of that, our forex shocks were going to be up, right? And so in 2017, 2018, when they added that onto the good works of President Mahama, and the dollar was relatively stable, they thought, oh, all was rosy. And that was why Alhaji Bawumia had the guts to mount a platform, look at the IGP and tell him that, look, the anti-robbery squad you gave me, we have gone, we have arrested the dollar, and the key is in your pocket. That day, the IGP just shook his head because he knew the man knew not what he was talking about. Look, Bella, in 2019, I know his mind. In 2019, this is a list of a committee they formed. They called it the FX committee. You remember? A committee to investigate the epileptic fall of the Cedi, yes. The committee worked under Dr. Bawumia's office as head of economic management team. We had Ken Ofurata, we had Ofri Yakoto, we had Alan Charmanti, who today has declared their government incompetent and has left. We had Dr. Maxwell Opoku Afare. I can give the tall list. This is the membership. A committee was formed because they had discovered that Alhaji Bawumia had no thoughts, had no clue in salvaging the dollar-cedi ratio. And they declared him, they themselves, declared the man they had put in charge of the dollar incompetent and formed the committee. This committee, I want to know how many times they met. I want to know how much they took as allowance. And I want to know what they did in salvaging the dollar situation. This was before COVID-19. Okay. And so when you hear that the dollar depreciated as a result of COVID-19 in Russia, Ukraine, it is false because this document does not speak to that. Then Palgrave speaks about people releasing their dollars. I'm glad that you reminded him that your appointees are busy making profits with the dollar-cedi ratio. Cecilia Dapa's $1 million, if it was under her bed in 2021, it meant that the equivalent of that was around 6 billion Ghana cedis. If she didn't touch that, and that was still under her bed, today the equivalent of that is 14.6 million Ghana cedis. You know how much profit she has made in 3 years? So the appointees of Mr. Akufo-Addo have deliberately decided to stuff dollars under their beds. And at least there's evidence of what we've seen in Cecilia Dapa's case, where just 1 million out of the numerous millions were stolen. Where over 6
we
billion...
cannot say we're stolen. It's not been established
I mean,
how that money was gone.
The special prosecutor even claimed that when they searched her house, they found close to $6 million under her bed.
Which is why he was asking Yoko to go into money laundering. That has not been established, so we cannot say it's been stolen yet.
No, I meant someone stole the 1 million, not her. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Someone stole the 1 million. I'm not talking about the others she herself had been hiding, which is to be established because she has not been able to prove how she came by those monies. I'm speaking about what was stolen. If you add that to the total sum of monies they have been putting under their beds, then you understand that whilst businesses are collapsing, whilst people can no longer buy dollars to exchange, appointees of this government are busily making profits. And I've just demonstrated to you how much profit somebody made as a result of just stuffing $1 million. Now, Bella, what Cedi depreciation also does to you, and let me speak to the teacher or nurse watching me. If you were a Ghanaian teacher who was acquiring 1,000 Ghana cedis in 2016, the equivalent of that was $442. Today, if you still acquire 1,000 Ghana cedis, you know the equivalent of that is less than $100. You acquire just about $60-something. It has shot your salary down in dollar rate, and everything that is being imported into this country is done at a dollar rate. And that is why today, if you still earn 1,000 Ghana cedis, you can no longer buy anything in the market, because if they make the dollar, if they do the dollar conversions, you'll be left with virtually nothing. All I'm saying, Dollar, and to land on this, is that the vice president should take us serious for a moment. he should sit and feel our pain. I don't know what business he's gotten himself into, but this is no longer a time to be dancing and laughing and driving a fake car and making all sorts of mockeries.
Okay.
We are at a crossroads. Businesses are collapsing. Huge capital flights are being established. People are moving their goods out of the country. And this is the time that he should sit down and for once in his life, stop telling us you've been joking. We know you have been lying all this while. You told us you arrested the city. It was a lie. But please, sit down. Feel our pain. Feel our plights. Feel the plight of the businessman watching us this morning. And you understand that Ghana is no longer where you took it from in 2017.
Mr. Bernard Mona, do you think that the Vice President should halt his campaign and focus on ways by which we can stabilize the city, as is being, called on by some members of society, especially, for example, the Importers and Exporters Association?
Well, greetings to you, Malik, and then Palgrave, and to your many viewers. Certainly, when you are in crisis, you have to back down on any other issues and ensure that you address the crisis situation. And I'm sure that this goes with even our personal circumstances. That all of a sudden, if we are here and we are told that there is some crisis at home, well, you simply have to call for somebody to take you upstairs so you can rush home in order to fix the circumstances prevailing. In the time that the Ghanaian city has seen this fall like rainwater, it's evident that the Vice President, whose main duty at the office of the presidency is to manage our economy, cannot be embarking on a campaign to become president when your core mandate you have flopped. It cannot be. It is possible for you to halt your campaign and say that there is something that is going on that you don't understand. You want to come back. Sit down with those institutions that matter. Even if it's for a day, you give the nation that you are a serious person interested and desirous of combating the calamitous fall of the city. Unfortunately for us, we don't see that. Why is the city falling? The Vice President gave us a lecture that we cannot run away from. He said that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. So what is it today that is making the exchange rate to expose us?
Well, I'm hoping you're not saying that then is the fundamentals that are weak, because I'm sure you've seen that video where he said it is warped logic if you try to use that in the sense.
In which sense?
So if we can pull up that,
no, in
that
which
video.
in which
so he
sense?
says that in that case it was right, but now you cannot say same
so
for the
in which
MPP.
sense?
I want us to play that video, producer.
Yeah, I would love to.
Let's pull it up.
I'm saying that.
And see if we can play it so that we can explain exactly, or he can explain exactly what he meant by that. But he says it's warp logic if you try to use that against the MPP as well.
That his logic was warped.
Well, it was right when he used it against the NDC.
Okay.
But it is wrong to use it against the MPP at the moment. We'll play that video so that you can understand. But make a point.
So the point is this. If the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. Today, the exchange rate is exposing us. Logically, the fundamentals are weak. What are the fundamentals that you are talking about? And so if we do not address the fundamentals, it means that we will not be able to contain the situation of the constant fall of the city. And I must admit that for a very long time, the city has not been stable because the fundamentals have always been weak. Because your country is largely import dependent. Is that the thing you are playing?
Well, my producers will let me know if they're ready to play that video, but you carry on.
You understand? So clearly, you don't control anything. Your imports is higher. Your exports are lower because the value from your export doesn't exist. And in fact, what you export is largely in its raw form. But you import everything, semi and final products into this country. So the cost of everything that you import is ballooning. Then you are exporting charcoal, you are exporting cocoa beans, you are exporting what? Everything in their raw form, and the value is very little. It means that your fundamentals are not strong.
Well, hold on. Let's just play that video so you can listen to what the Vice President had to say on this matter. Take a look.
You can engage in all the propaganda you want, but if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. The type of free fall that we are seeing with the Cedi exchange rate is a vote of no confidence by market players in the management of the economy. Indeed, many market players presently are pricing goods with the expectation that the exchange rate is going to be 2 to 1. It is all that I stated in 2014 that if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. That was true then, and it is true now. It is 100% correct. So if the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. But it is warped logic to jump from that to a conclusion that if there is depreciation in your currency, then the fundamentals must be weak. Do you understand the logic? It is very warped logic. If the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you.
So that's what he said. That is warped logic if you say then that if the Cedi depreciates, then it means the fundamentals are weak. Why are you laughing? I'm trying not to laugh. It's a very serious matter.
Wow.
My God.
This is our Vice President.
Do you understand him, though? Because he was asking us if we understand the explanation.
I'm sure he himself doesn't understand what he was saying.
He won't be saying something he doesn't.
He doesn't understand. What is depreciation of the cedi? And what is exchange rate fluctuations? If your currency depreciates, it leads to exchange rate fluctuations. Not so. So if you are talking about using different terminologies, that the exchange rate, a weaker exchange rate, tells you that your currency is not strong, it's not appreciating, it's depreciating. So you decided not to use the word exchange rate difficulties and come and use depreciation, and you are asking students of economics whether they understand. In fact, you confuse yourself. So the students were trying to understand whether it is your confusion you want them to understand or what you want them to understand. See, your currency is not stable, and you admit that the fundamentals are weak. And I'm saying that you cannot have strong fundamentals when you keep importing more than you export, when the value of your import is higher than the value of your export. That is one. Number two, that in the whole sub-region, if you go to Togo and you are not careful, you will not be able to spend your cedi. Spent. Europeans decided that they will have a European currency called the euro, so that their European currency will become stronger. And so these are the things that you should be looking at. You are not looking at them. In the face of this, government officials have decided that, look, they will make money. But in making money and in order to ensure the stability of the money, they will convert their monies into dollars. And in converting their monies into dollars, they will not put their monies in the bank. They rather will put their monies under their beds. And part of monies that are stolen is tallying in excess of $1 million. It's not monies, the total money they have. But monies that have been stolen from some of them, like Ladapa, you see, house helps have taken in excess of $1 million. So how much money was still left that the special prosecutor went counting? It's something that we don't know. So how much money did the special prosecutor count? Right? Because you know that they counted money with a counting machine for more than 4 hours. So how much more money did they count in the house? That was in dollars and in pounds and in euro. So if you add all that, and those are monies that are put under people's beds, then what it means is that you are denying the circulation of the dollar and other hard currencies. And what that does mean, it will put pressure. It will put pressure because people will now be struggling to buy more money, dollars. Importantly, is the cry of our traders. And Bella, you must understand this. In 2016, for instance, it was 4.2 Ghana cedis to $1. So if you had, say, 100,000 Ghana cedis, you were able to get about $42,000. You were able to get about $42,000. So you went to the market. Today, if you have 100,000, how much dollars do you have? That is 14,000 or less. So from $42,000, now you have 14,000. That should tell you how much businesses have suffered. And the worst is that you went to buy this phone. That's Paul Gray's phone, by the way. You bought this phone, right? You bought this phone at $10, or let me make it $12. You come, plus all your charges, you are selling it at $14. The Cedi equivalent. In selling it at $14, you woke up today and the dollar is 14.9. You have already priced, people have bought. And you want to go and buy the same, maybe 10 pieces of the same type of phone after you have sold the first batch. Do you think that you'll be able to go and buy the same quantity? So businesses are losing just because the dollar is not stable. They have not done anything. It is not through any fault of theirs, but it's because government is not able to contain the situation.
But government says, in fact, the cedi depreciation against the dollar has improved under them, as against the NDC.
Insanity, madness.
That's how you describe it?
I'm saying insanity and madness.
Why would you say
I just told you that if it was 4.2 to $1, 4.2 cedis to $1, that means that you could get 42,000. Today, it's 14,000. That's $100,000 Ghana cedis. We'll give you 42,000. Today, you are getting less than 15,000. And you tell me that your situation has improved. If we tell you that your mind is not well fixed, you say we are insulting you.
Let Paul Grave respond to that then, because, I mean, let me just read exactly what the Vice President had said. He was in an interview with Africa Watch, and he said that we use averages to measure progress in statistics and economics all the time. It is a valid comparison of the management of the exchange rate. So he says that it is remarkable that whereas the exchange rate depreciation between 2009 and 2016 averaged 13.9%, between 2017 to 2023, it averaged 13.1%, and that is a fact. So the data shows that from 2009 to 2016, the cedi depreciated cumulatively by 71.1%. Between 2017 and 2023, the cumulative depreciation was 64.6%. So whether you look at the average or the cumulative, the depreciation of the cedi has been lower under our government, notwithstanding the severe global shocks that we have endured. Paragraph, I mean, I've heard him say this. I've heard a number of commentators also say that if you look at the percentage, then the cedi depreciated even more under the NDC than the NPP. But we're looking at the situation on the ground, businesses and how much they require to be able to buy forex or buy goods, and have to pay, in dollars. And so how is this logical in the first place for you to say that because the percentage is lower, you've done better? It's not reflecting in the lives of people.
Yeah, well, Bella, you see, I think that we don't want to go through the logicality of the conversation. For me, it's the reality of the day-to-day challenges that the Ghanaian people are facing, which is what we should look at. I mean, because really, when you wake up every single day, you move in and then you move out, and you don't want to politicize this issue. There are real issues that GUTA is a very reputable association that if they come out to speak, you should know that then it's biting them harder. Because when you have challenges with your vehicle and you need to go to Abosokai for spare parts, it will hit you. If you have imported things and you need to go and pick it up at Temahabo, it will hit you. And so these are real challenges. I think that the overarching goal is for us as a government to see how we can immediately put measures in place. I think that that's what GUTA is asking for. GUTA is asking that our government should be able to immediately put measures in place to limit the fall of the cedi, because you see, which is why we were looking over the period that we try to have our own homegrown solutions, industrialize a lot more, so that we are not heavily dependent on exportation and then importation, and then we are rather trying to export our things so we can have a lot more revenue into the country.
But we've failed at that, haven't we?
Well, I think that the government has tried to industrialize to a bit, because you see, industrialization over the long period of time from the time Ghana gained independence, I think that we've been able to chalk a lot more successes under the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, because of the industrialization drive. It's an attempt which I'm certain that successive governments over the years will be able to build upon. But these are age-old issues that has always been happening to the Ghanaian economy over the years. We've always had challenges with our cedi. We've always had the US dollar playing a maximum role in the country, because other people want to do business in US dollars, which is also a challenge. If you're going to buy a property, they are quoting in US dollars. You are paying your children's school fees, they are quoting in US dollars. You are traveling, they are quoting in US dollars. I mean, everything is becoming a lot more dollarized, which is not good for our country, because then it means that we're not going to have that level of confidence that we need, that when you hold 100 Ghana cedis, it has the value. When you hold a 200 Ghana cedis, it has the value that is able to compete with the US dollar. So I will state that I'm certain that our government would be in very closed doors, trying to see how we can immediately mitigate these challenges, because it affects everybody, and it affects you and I. It affects everybody on the ground. And the GUTA is the bedrock of our economy. If they start complaining, then we are in deep
trouble.
waters.
Should the vice president call off his campaign to come back home and fix the problem?
Well, I think that the vice president is playing a very dual responsibility, because he hasn't neglected his role as the sitting vice president of the Republic of Ghana, in addition to being the flag bearer of the ruling party. And so whenever there are official assignments which needs his present attention, definitely he would be a key player in it. And I mean, no doubt in my mind that every now and then you see the vice president come back into Accra for an emergency meeting and then head back onto the road to
But that's not what they're asking for. They're asking him to halt it completely.
No, that's what I'm trying to
come back and fix it. Not come quickly for a meeting and go back.
That's what I'm also trying to put it, that it's a bread of a buttered side. You need to ensure that bread of a buttered side is oiled very well, so that when you are eating it, you can enjoy the crunches of it. And so yes, it's good to keep an eye on your campaign, because it's a very difficult election season, and it's also good for you to keep your eye on the steering of the Ghanaian economy. But also realize that we have a sitting president who has full responsibility over this country and full responsibility over the Ghanaian economy. He administers over it very clearly and very confidently, and has put other people on subcommittees to provide technical knowledge and advisory roles to the leadership of the president.
Should government bring back the benchmark values, because that's also one of the things that they're talking about, and also institute a flat rate at the port, so that it makes it easier for them to know exactly how much they have to spend to bring in goods, because those are some of the things that they mentioned yesterday that they expect government to do.
You know, I look at it in this way, that GRA always needs to make sure that they raise their revenue. GRA has been given a revenue target, which has been placed in the 2024 budget that was read on the floor of the House. And it's expected that GRA is able to raise that revenue so we can be able to run the Ghanaian economy. I'm not too sure about the benchmark value, because that will be a cut across for devaluing other products that must be valued at a very higher rate.
Okay, let's just run through this quickly so we can move on to our next topic. Malik, you've listened to him. What do you have to say?
I mean, Palgrave admittedly sounds far more reasonable than, his own vice president, Alhaji Bawumia. if you clearly listen to him, if you clearly listen to him, you understand that, yes, he admits that, look, all these rants and all that are clearly unnecessary. Let us go to the Ghanaian people, let's apologize to them, let's plead with them, and then if there's any way out, fine. But you see, unfortunately, I will just tell him that Dr. Bawumia has clearly run out of ideas. There is simply no solution again to this debacle. All his plans he had around this have failed. He thought of going to the bond market, it failed. He thought of beefing up our foreign reserves, international reserves, it failed. He thought of hoarding some dollars so that, we stabilize the Cedi, it failed. He thought of non-servicing of our debts by stocking some dollars in our forex, it failed. And clearly, all ideas around this has failed. I think that the only man who has solution to this challenge is President Mahama. He's a man with a 24-hour economic policy. If you listen to Bernard, clearly spoke about how we should leverage an export-led administration. If you listen to Palgrave, he also spoke about an export-led administration. The dollar was relatively stable under the NDC because we managed to cut down on importation on major commodities. Sugar was cut down to an extent, rice was cut down by more than 500 million, and so many other commodities. Today we import even onion, we import tomato, we import ginger, basic commodities. At the last corridor, we imported sugar, rice to a tune of about 3 billion, sugar today 3 billion. Clearly there's nothing that can work on our international shops. Okay. The dollar ratings clearly have got everything to do with our demand and supply forces. If we don't mitigate that, if we don't bring all that into one pool and able to establish more on importations rather than exportations, on exportations rather than importations, then we'll have ourselves to blame. So clearly, the only game changer here is President Mahama's 24-hour economy that would come and create jobs, that would boost local productivity and leverage, an export-led administration. That is the solution to our woes. And so I'll plead on GUTA to exercise a little patience. I'll plead on them not to collapse their businesses. I feel sad when I see businesses that were booming. I go there tomorrow and I see out of business, all because of the incompetence and mismanagement of a lying vice president like Alhaji Bawumia. I plead on them to have patience. In about 8 months' time, we'll go to the polls.
They should wait for 8 months?
In about 8 months' time.
Okay, so that elections can happen.
There's no solution
now. Let me come to Bernard.
We'll vote for President Mahama and then comes on board.
Let me come to Bernard. So they're asking for, the reversal of the benchmark values. They want that to be brought back. They want flat rate at the ports. Do you agree with this?
Certainly, if you look at the import duties, the duties and charges at the port, they are simply outrageous. And one would expect that a once burgeoning port in the sub-region has suddenly become a cemetery where many people dread to go. You used to clear more than 70 containers in a day. In a week now, you are not able to clear up to 10 containers. Majority of the importers now go to Togo and to Abidjan to go and clear their goods and find other ways of bringing their wares into this country. That has also enabled or empowered the Ghana Revenue Authority through the Customs Division to now be hanging around major roads so that they'll be able to check the influx of these imports that are coming by way of Togo and Abidjan. So clearly, something is wrong. So these are the people who are in the market. They never complained about duties at the port when things were normal. All of a sudden you came, moving away from taxation to production. You have rather done more taxation than production. And so they cannot even survive. They import these things. Don't forget that other foreigners, through the China malls and whatever malls, are also bringing almost similar things into the country. And they don't go through the kind of duties that the Ghanaians are going through. So they go to China and other places, buy their wares, get to Ghana. Then you have the multiplicity of China malls. In Tamale alone, I can count about 2 or 3 more that are springing up. So clearly, even the retail sector, you have lost it. The Chinanization of the Ghanaian society is something that you have to deal with. Okay. And these are all part of the fundamentals of the economy that you are not dealing with. If you are there talking about the peripheral issues, then you will not be able to deal with this matter in a very comprehensive manner, such that we'll be able to attend. So I think that GUTA is right. But sometimes, you know, you want to sympathize with GUTA, and you are unable to sympathize with GUTA because they were the same people who were carrying the MPP in 2016, saying that they are the financiers to the panacea to the problems of Ghana. Today, you have realized that you have brought on us a hell than we were thinking about.
But there's nothing wrong in them calling them out if that's the case.
Well, I'm happy that Dr. Obin and his team have realized that, look, not all that guilt test is good.
So they should come for PNC?
Well, the option is for them, if they want economic salvation and business boom, to continue to be with the NDC and the MPP, or to look for the PNC as an option to the problems of this country.
With Mr. Bernard Mona as president.
Certainly.
Well, Prince Nuruddin Bawumia says the time the Cedi was gaining strength, it was always hard to hear the media talk about it. Why are we always in a rush to pinpoint the wrong side of the government? But take note, the Cedi was strengthened sooner than later. We hear you, Prince.
No, strengthened sooner than when? The Cedi was 4.2 when you took over.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Interest.